Great day, everyone. Welcome to AstroTea, and this is your weekly astro forecast and survival guide to the stars. So, thank you to all our OG Astro fam and our newbies for joining us while we take a closer look at the transits and cosmic energy of the week ahead. We have some amazing products like the AstroTea Journal and the Astro Calendar to empower you on your unique journey of divine alignment with nature. Just click on the available links, and if you haven't already, sign up for the email list to join the tea party and get all the exclusive sips. So you guys know we love Clubhouse for all the amazing souls that we've been able to connect with and for being the first platform that AstroTea started on. And as we continue to grow and expand according to our visions for AstroTea, starting on June 25th, YouTube and Instagram, along with the streaming platforms for our podcast, will become the only destinations for our weekly cosmic forecast. So as we migrate from Clubhouse, we are so excited for all that we have in store for our Astro fam, and we invite you to connect with us over on YouTube and Instagram so that you don't miss a single brew. We will still be present on Clubhouse, but definitely find all of the weekly forecast tea over on those platforms. So subscribe to our podcast and YouTube channel to continue getting all the astro, tarot, and tea this powerful astrological year. Let's get into the cosmic tea. Hey soul.
Hey y'all, happy Sunday. Thank you for that beautiful intro, Empress. So we're going to be talking about the astrology of the week ahead for the week of June 12th. So we're going to run through the astrology and the tarot for that, and then we'll have a conversation on stage. So any questions or comments that you have throughout the episode, definitely feel free to put them in the room chat, and we'll get to it throughout the episode. So if you want to grab some tea, get your AstroTea journal, we're going to get right into it. We got, I'd say, a pretty eventful week this upcoming week. So we're going to start off on Monday, June 12th, with the moon in Aries trine Mars in Leo. And this week is coming in hot, right? This is a great day for bold, decisive action, as well as confident leadership and leading by example, and having the courage to stand alone as well with these two masculine fire signs. And you may experience, or on this day reach, a culmination point of an ongoing experience with going at something alone and by yourself, right? Having to motivate yourself, having confidence in yourself, having the courage to take initiative on something important to you, something that you're passionate about, and then being able to be seen as a leader or a pioneer or a self-made person, right, in this domain, something that you took the courage to create and to build and to express within yourself. You're now being seen as some sort of leader in that type of field or industry, or self-made, or wow, like they took the initiative to do this by themselves. And I feel like, to me, self-made speaks less to having done it all exclusively by yourself with no external support or resources, and more, it speaks more to being a person who always championed for themselves, who sustained their self-worth and their confidence long enough to open doors and opportunities so that others who would eventually believe in them to support them as well, you know. And definitely self-made does speak to maybe at the beginning you built yourself up, right? But you can be self-made and have investors at some point, or have people who donate or support your business financially. You could still have been that person that you had to be in those rooms defending and fighting for yourself, your vision, before these people became believers, before they became supporters, right? So I think that aspect of self-made, people will see wow, they had the conviction that it took to build something up for themselves, and perhaps by themselves at times. And this day also speaks to people taking a particular passion or hobby to the next level of monetizing it and creating a brand, or making it part of your brand, right? What people know you for, especially having to do with hair, jewelry, fashion, the performing arts, sports, and utilizing your body and sensuality to make money, or sex work, or things like that. Any of these realms, especially these Leo type kind of industries, right? To have Mars and Leo in the second house, this is where the value is. So taking that from being a hobby or a passion or an interest to perhaps the next level of like, how can it bring you some sort of additional value or additional stability and support in your life? And whatever this is, we have the support with this trine to cultivate and express our individuality and gain from it, right? We're supported to move past shame or fear or whatever's been limiting us from putting a particular part of ourselves out there, because we've come to know ourselves more, right? And we know that we're infinitely multifaceted and can't be defined by one singular aspect of ourselves. So like, what is it to put it out there then? You know, it becomes much less like scary to put out there when we know like, yeah, this is part of me, but I can't be defined by any one thing that I decide to do. So why not put it out there, you know, if I'm not afraid of misrepresentation or things like that. So definitely starting off the week on a confident, hot, intense level, especially with this happening at 13 degrees and Aries degree, of having to just like know ourselves. That's like very important, to know ourselves and our own motivations behind things is going to be important as we close the week out with a new moon in Gemini. So just keep that in mind. So Empress, what does this look like in the tarot for Monday's energy?
Monday is the perfect way to start off this week. There's so much emotion, so much subconscious awareness, intuitive awareness that we are going to have throughout this week. So I love the way this week starts out. For Monday, June 12th, with the moon in Aries, trining Mars in Leo in the tarot. This is the High Priestess in the Emperor and Queen of Wands energy, trining the Seven of Wands. And at this point, we can all feel that the time we are in is calling on us at a subconscious level to stabilize ourselves in something with this Emperor energy here, so that we can stand our ground and protect what is most valuable to us with this Seven of Wands energy. Each of our divine feminine, because everyone has that divine feminine energy, right? We all have divine masculine and divine feminine, and you might be experiencing situations where you are the divine feminine energy in an external relationship, or you are dealing with a divine feminine energy in some type of relationship dynamic. And so each of our divine feminine is gaining confidence in expression and inner knowing, so noticing more determination right now in sharing creativity and being social this Gemini season with others. Embracing your spirituality a bit more and respecting your divine feminine energy enough to focus on bringing in structure, bringing in discipline to support your current position to continue doing the inner work. With the fire trine that's happening today, because we have Aries and Leo, and they're both trining. With this fire trine, this keep your eye on your own plan and how everything that you spend time and energy on think about how what you spend time and energy on comes back to doing something that will benefit you. How is me exerting energy or time or energy in this environment, speaking to this person, doing this activity, how is that benefiting me spiritually, mentally, physically, and or emotionally? Reflect on that today in every action that you're taking throughout the day. Today is a day of possible temptation as well. With this fire energy, Seven of Wands speaks to you being up in a position where you're having to stand your ground against 6 other wands, right? That people are on the other side of, that may have something to say about the position that you're currently in. So today could be a day of possible temptation for some of us. So any challenges that are coming up as we begin this week could be to test you spiritually, because fire energy does speak to our spirit. So keep that in mind as we open up this week. And let's go ahead and get into Tuesday's transit. So
yes, just quickly to just comment on what you said, because that was so great. You reminded me that today is the day that Mercury goes into Gemini, and also Pluto goes retrograde into Capricorn. So remember, we talked about that last week, but if you weren't here with us last Sunday, yeah, we're here. That's 2 events that are happening today. So when you were talking about Monday's energy, it made me think of like, are y'all feeling it? Right? Like this combination of the sun already in Gemini, Mercury going into Gemini, approaching a new moon in Gemini. I know a lot of us have had a lot of different obligations and conversations, like that conversational energy that you're talking about. It's really picking up this season. And lastly, when you were speaking about temptation, it made me think about how I think the temptation on this day speaks to people's motivation with this Mars and Leo to outshine other people as well. I think to either like get competitive or want to outshine or take shine from other people, and we have to understand like that it reflects more about that person's self-worth. But there may be an opportunity for one person to be seen, or for one person to be given an opportunity, and other people are trying to like outshine you for that opportunity. I was getting that for Monday.
And I love what you said about being seen as a leader in your industry when you broke down the astro for this transit for Monday, because that speaks exactly to what you were just saying. But we have to remember from last week's conversation, how do you shine in your own unique way? Because we had Moon and Aqua last week. How do you still be established as a leader in your industry without feeling like you have to compete with everybody else in your industry? Because you're unique. You can never do it like them. You don't have a reclining seat when you have clients doing your hair. You know what I'm saying? So it's also bringing into play to work with what you have and not bringing ego with this Leo energy we're experiencing in Venus and Mars, between women and men, and between divine feminine and divine masculine to a certain extent with that energy. And you said like we've come to know ourselves more. And so now Spirit's holding us to a higher expectation, you know? It kind of made me think of like this week is kind of like the now you know better, do better week. As we're transitioning, we have the new moon. You know, but feeling it,
talking about it,
feeling it, because this is like a moon or some feminine energy is heavy in every single transit this week. So we're definitely having to dive deep in terms of feeling our way through this week, not so much, you know, having to just think, being more in our feminine energy to get through this week and get the most out of this week.
Absolutely. And I'm so glad that you brought up the ego aspect, because that continues perfectly into Tuesday. So Tuesday, June 13th, we have Venus in Leo is quincunx Saturn in Pisces. So pay particular attention to Saturn in Pisces this week. We have a few transits, but it is going to go retrograde by the end of the week. So we were intentional about choosing Saturn in Pisces transits for the days leading up to Saturn going retrograde, because it's like, okay, let's situate ourselves, let's orient ourselves. What is Saturn currently doing and getting prepared to do once it moves retrograde, because it's going to be there for a few months actually. So Tuesday, June 13th, with this in conjunction between Venus and Leo and Saturn and Pisces, this day is going to introduce the theme of knowing that you have a lot to learn to achieve mastery while also starting where you're at, which is what I love that you brought that up for Monday, Empress, about starting where you're at with what you have, right? With Venus in the second house of the sun, some of us may be experiencing pride or arrogance about how much we know or how skilled or how talented we are at something. And an elder, right, or a master in this field is like quietly observing and kind of like laughing to themselves, right? Let's say you're on the stage and you're just like, you saw how I did that? Like, I'm just so good. I'm popping y'all. Like, no one can tell me nothing. And you don't know that, let's say it's dance, right? An OG choreographer, dancer, right? Dance professor, you know, someone with accolades is just sitting in the corner, just watching you, just shaking your head like, oh man, if they only knew, right? They have so much to learn. They're good, but like if they only knew, right? And thankfully, Saturn is in Pisces, right? Saturn is operating more gracefully and compassionately in this energy compared to Saturn in Capricorn, right? Saturn in Aquarius. So this energy is gracious enough to say, you know what? I like their confidence, right? I can work with that, right? We're going to have to work on the ego, but I can work with this confidence to make them the best that there ever was, right? You don't know that's your new dance instructor in the back. You're waiting for them to arrive and you're flexing like, oh, they're going to like me. They're going to put me in the first line, front row. They're going to give me the solo. They're going to give me the main part in this play, right? Watch. And you don't know, you're mouthing off and your teacher's just sitting there in the background and they're like, okay, class. And you're like, oh man, I did not know the teacher was there the whole time and I'm out here talking shit, right? But Saturn in Pisces is like, I can work with that, right? That confidence, I could use that. So be open to unexpected teachers and opportunities for learning on this day. And if you're talking your shit, right, be aware of your surroundings, because it may be a turnoff for other people who maybe aren't as graceful or invested in your potential, right? They don't care about that. They're not here to mold you into a diamond. They don't have time for that. They don't like the arrogance. So just be mindful of that. And then on the other side of this energy and this expression, right, so we have the people that have been a little bit overconfident and have not prioritized their willingness to learn more. And then we have the other side of this of people who've really been working through self-doubt or insecurity and have been making the effort to put themselves out there despite knowing that they have a long way to go, right? If you feel like this resonates more with where you've been, you may be presented with an opportunity where you're actually called in as a leader or an expert in something that you're like, wow, like I'm so humbled at this opportunity. Like I consider myself as someone who has a long way to go, right, in this area. Or you might be given an unconventional or non-traditional learning opportunity as well, right? Just seems super weird, but like you kind of spiritually in your intuition, Saturn is telling you like, take this, right? Take this journey, as weird or out there as it seems. So I feel like as to whatever gradient, right, of this Venus and Leo energy, like where are we with our ego, essentially, right? Where whatever gradient we're operating at, there's going to be the opportunity, like there's going to present itself a yes or no opportunity, right? And it's important to be open-minded and have our ego in check to make an integral, decisive action on this Mars day, especially since this is happening at 7 degrees, Libra degree. We can't be indecisive. We'll be presented an opportunity. It might seem weird, but like we're like, why does my intuition kind of want me to say yes to this? But like, will I be true to myself if I say yes to this, right? Or who is myself? Am I willing to step out of myself and say that the person that I'm saying yes for is not necessarily here, but this is the person that I want to evolve and grow into. So we'll continue this on Wednesday, because I think Wednesday is a direct continuation of this like theme that's being introduced. But Empress, I really want to hear about what this looks like in the tarot with this in conjunction for Tuesday.
Okay, the fact that we are in this study group setting right now and in Gemini season, and I just realized with what you were saying that Saturn, the teacher, just gave me a download and saying that next week, Tuesday and Wednesday, with the Saturn and Pisces transits, it's like extra credit to a pop quiz when Saturn goes retrograde in Pisces later on in the week. So it's like these 2 days are like a secret audition that we're doing, is how it came to me when you were speaking. And so this is like being presented an opportunity, as Sol mentioned during today, that on Wednesday for the second Saturn and Pisces transit, we're going to be able to have some kind of reward from that, or initiation, or succession into another level, the next level in our spiritual journeys, potentially, right? Given how we take these 2 days, Tuesday and Wednesday of this week. So on June 13th, we have Venus in Leo in conjunct Saturn in Pisces. And in the tarot, this is the Empress in Strength and the King of Wands in conjunct the World in the Moon and Knight of Cups. And with today's forecast, this is a day to really put your regality on display and getting used to being in a leadership role by effectively maintaining your vision and your inner strength so that you can reduce the confusion, any confusion around genuine offers of alliance with you and tactful gestures that are just diplomatic moves to try and take advantage of a relationship that they have with you. And so today, and that made me think of what you were saying with like a yes or no. You know, you can take the deal to work with someone that may just be trying to get with you because of tactful reasoning that will only benefit them and gestures that they're making sneakily, or whether you are able to get with people that help to actually align with you and help you as well, and also help themselves. It's an equal exchange. So today, notice what's not adding up about others based on the conversations that are happening in the courtyard. And what word is spreading this Gemini season? Think about Game of Thrones, how like in the courtyard, like so many people are gossiping, sharing information. They have the pages, right? The page of swords going around and spreading all the gossip. What are you hearing? You don't have to be participating in the gossip to be aware of it and to protect yourself from it. So today is a day to see the intentions of others and whether they are courageous and sincere, whether they're based on compassion for humanity, or whether they're attempting to accomplish a dream that is based on outdated idealist perspectives. And this happens on the main stage as well with this Leo energy. Anyone in the entertainment industry, when we're looking on social media with this Gemini energy we're still in right now, noticing the intentions of others and why they are initiating or attempting to sell things to you. Remember Soul mentioned last week with Empress and Leo, like you can, with Venus and Leo, like, oh, they can, tempt you, or with that combination of Venus and Mars and Leo, tempting you to buy anything or put energy behind, seeing how confident they are in this, and I must join their bandwagon because look at how they're talking about it. Look at how they're able to sell themselves. So as you're taking initiative in your own life today, be aware of your intuition. Remember, I was saying this week is a week of feeling. So keep that in mind every single day. What am I feeling underneath the surface? What's going on subconsciously when I'm interacting with this person? How do I subconsciously or intuitively feel about this information that I'm now hearing about? Okay, be aware of your intuition and anything that it's wanting to tell you at this time. This is a week to become more aware of secrets that you keep from yourself and that others may keep. So just be aware of how your intuition is communicating with you today. So I'll leave it there. Let's go ahead and get into Wednesday, Soul.
I love that you mentioned that it's a week of feeling, because I think it's so crazy. I think I felt that, but I didn't name it to myself logically. But we do have the moon in Taurus, right? Which we're going to talk about for the next day, Wednesday, June 14th. And so the moon is exalted in Taurus, right? So that feminine intuition, that divine knowing, right? And how it's connected to our senses, right? Our five senses is the moon's exaltation in Taurus, how we can feel knowing through us somatically, right? So I love that you brought up so explicitly that it's a week of feeling, and like I was feeling that, but I didn't name that to myself. But I'm like, okay, yeah, it's the moon being in Taurus, right? In this exaltation energy, especially as we're getting ready to shift into a new moon as well. So with the moon in Taurus being sextile Saturn in Pisces on Wednesday, June 14th, to me, this is a direct continuation of the storyline of the previous day, right? For those of us who felt like saying yes to whatever unconventional opportunity was presented, have a chance to just get a glimpse, right? You may not know in full totality, but you might get a little peek, a little glimpse, right, of the immense value that you can obtain from this opportunity that you said yes to, right? It opens a door to a network of wealthy individuals and communities, right? Wealth and money, sure, but wealth in resources, wealth in access, wealth in culture, wealth in just mastery of things, and having like immense knowledge about a lot of things that they can impart on you. But I was also getting just things that you can learn from just by being immersed in this energy. So like it's the conversations you eavesdrop on, right? Or the memos that get sent out that you're privy to, that you're just like, let me read this real quick. What does this say? What they talking about, right? It may not be things that are explicitly taught to you, but just by being immersed in this energy, if you're present, if you're wanting to learn and absorb just by being in spaces and rooms with these people, you're going to gain immense access. And I think you're like, for those who are saying yes, right? As weird as these opportunities sound, as much of a random side quest as they seem, you're like, how does this relate to like what I'm trying to do for my life? But deeply spiritually, I also feel like I gotta say yes to this opportunity because somehow it relates. I may just not know how, right? So we are dealing with feminine energy here, right? Even though earthy Taurus, right, is bringing some of this like tangible 3D expression to this transit, we're really in the realm of feeling and intuitive knowing for this day. So we're getting a chance to observe the power of institutions and networks and their ability to support access to wealth, maintenance of wealth, and expansion of wealth as well. Like just by being part of certain clubs or certain groups or certain social circles, certain institutions, right? Even just having diplomatic relationships with people from said institutions, right? We're seeing how that opens the door to a lot of expansive opportunity in wealth of, again, all the things that I listed above: knowledge, resources, access, right? Information. So this energy also speaks to the ability to learn from female elders. And I say elder in the sense of mastery, like level of mastery, and not age necessarily, right? Just like elders and masters in your community, right? People that you want to learn from, like especially female elders, right? With the moon being exalted here in Taurus, it's receiving so much energy from Saturn so quickly. So it's also a great time to spend a great day to spend time in conversation, ritual, or ceremony with women that you admire, right? From your family, from your lineage, women that bring you wise counsel. So whether these women are living, whether they've passed in transition and you communicate with them through ritual or through ceremony, or this is someone that you have the privilege of being able to call on the phone and get some wisdom from them, like this would be a great day to do that. And lastly, which is really beautiful about this transit, is a lot of people have been craving community, right? Talking about community and groups, and I want a commune, I want a group of people to do this with, right? Well, y'all getting it, right? If y'all just have been patient, if y'all been doing the work, right? A lot of people who've been craving community are beginning to really experience the beauty of it. And it was really important to go through periods of solitude and isolation to build up your sense of self. Who are you, right? What is your self-worth? What do you contribute to the spaces that you occupy? Okay, what is this community? Are you going to just mooch off them? Like, what do you bring? What value? What skill? What trade? Even if it's not something that you do, like you're a loving person, you bring love, you bring joy, you bring happiness. Like, what the fuck do you, excuse me, but like seriously, what do you contribute? So many people asking for community, but like, what do you do? What do you bring to said community? Or are you really just trying to figure out what you can get from other people? The people who've gone through the self-work of that, of like, okay, what do I bring? What do I put out there? What can I give to people? What am I passionate about, right? That was necessary for us to truly be in community and to be in spaces of love, accountability, empowerment, and mutual aid. So we're seeing the fruits of our hard work on ourselves, and now we're being granted the access to bring life and value to these new groups and institutions. So it's like, sometimes it just takes those flows, those ebbs, those periods of like, damn, I'm just alone. I don't have people to share with or be in community with. Like, those are the times that we need to really be building ourselves up to be able to really enjoy the benefits of mutually receptive community. Like Empress was saying, it goes both ways, you know? So that's what I have for Wednesday with this sextile. So what does this look like in the tarot?
What do you bring to community? I love that question for today. On Wednesday, with the moon in Taurus, sextile Saturn in Pisces. In the tarot, this is the High Priestess in the Hierophant and King of Pentacles, sextile the World in the Moon and Knight of Cups, this June 14th. So this week, we'll be experiencing a lot of subconscious messages. And our intuition will be a lot more powerful. And so we'll be wanting to talk about our feelings, feeling what others are feeling, especially if you're empathetic, and releasing emotions through crying, conversation, and other activities. Today's forecast is an opportunity to really get honest about the strength of your connection with spirit, due specifically to the time and energy we have been consistently spending in prayer and meditation. Because this week, those that have had a strong connection with spirit will be the ones seemingly coasting and gliding through this week's energy. For those of us in the collective that have a weaker connection to spirit due to a lack of consistency and discipline, spending time and energy with spirit, this father energy, okay, we have the Hierophant and we have Saturn, which represents the world in the tarot. With this father energy that we have here, it's like your dad taking you to the room about your report card, is how I was feeling for today's transit. And my dad used to do this. There were three of us, me, my brother, and my older sister, and every time we would get report cards, he would, like, one by one, like, be in one of our rooms and, like, call us back one by one, and we would have to bring our report card, and he would look at it and look at all of our grades and like what we got in each one and talk about each subject. And this is like today what I was feeling. It's like that moment where spirit sits you down and it's like, okay, let's go over your grades. Let's look at spiritually, mentally, physically, and emotionally. All right, what's the grade for spirit? What grade do you think you got for spiritually? Because that's what my dad used to do. We wouldn't even have taken our report card. We would have looked, obviously, on the bus on the way home from school, but you give it to him like it's brand new, like we haven't opened it, right? Then he opens it up out the envelope. He's like, okay, for maths, what do you think you got? And then we would have to guess, like, what do we think we got for math? And then he'd be like, yeah, you did get an A. Good job. But we would know, but we would, obviously, for the worst grades, we would say higher. Anyway, this is like spirit doing that to us. Being like, all right, what grade do you think you have right now when it comes to your spirituality? What grade do you have right now when it comes to your physically, you maintaining yourself? No, let's be honest. No, let's talk about this. I'm here for you, bro. And Saturn's like smoking the blunt, being chill, but just wanting to have a conversation, Meanwhile, you see the belt hanging over the side of the chair, but you're just not focusing on that right now for obvious reasons. So, okay, what do you think your grade is right now mentally? All right, cool. What's your grade emotionally? And you're going through all of these classes, all of these different areas of your life right now on this day. If you have straight A's, you're good. You're good, right? But if you have a D sprinkled in there, a D or a C or an F, that belt in his hand might just get put to use. Sometimes we have to be put in shape by the universe spiritually at some moments to be like, okay, look, I've given you multiple opportunities to work on yourselves in all of these areas. What have you been doing? So this is a day of spiritual discipline, commitment, reward, and also promotion. Let's not forget the people that have been doing the work. Today's a day of reward and promotion. If when you do that rundown of those topics with spirit, you're coming out with some good grades. I see some of us in the collective having some sort of mini graduation ceremony this day energetically with Saturn before it goes retrograde on Saturday. Saturn's doing its rounds like, okay, before I go retrograde real quick, I just want to call out these names. I see you doing your thing. All right, keep up the good work. Okay. So it's to celebrate those that have been doing their work. and to encourage them to keep going. Saturn is going to give you praise or credit, like Soul mentioned earlier. They'll give you the props, and Saturn will give you the props and the recognition. But this is also so that leaders are in place for the spiritual surge that will happen when Saturn goes retrograde in Pisces as well. So we'll get into that when we're actually in the transit, but I'll stop there for Wednesday. Let's get into Thursday, Soul.
Yeah, Thursday, first of all, you gave me so much to crack up about. When you were saying about knowing the grades, just imagine knowing damn well you got a D in math, and you're like, what you think you got? You're like, a C? And he's like, no, you got a D. And you're like, oh man, I didn't know that. Really? Oh, no way. Like, you had me cracking up. And I feel like we can use a little bit of this gracefulness of Saturn and Pisces. I do think there is some room for grace, some room for compassion. Like, we just got out of 2 Saturnian ruled signs. I talk about that a little bit later. We're going into Saturn and Aries as well. So just take Saturn and Pisces while you got the chance, like, it doesn't have to be as strict all the time. So I think that relates into what we're about to talk about with Thursday, June 15th. The moon in Taurus is trine Pluto retrograde in Capricorn. So I feel like the energy just took a dark shift for this day, right? The moon is in the 12th house of the sun in Gemini. Pluto retrograde in Capricorn is in the 8th house of the sun in Gemini, right? We kind of turn it into these water houses and these feminine expressions. We're talking about Pluto, we're talking about the moon's exaltation in Taurus. Like, there's a lot of powerful energy here. So we're dealing with a lot of dark feminine expressions of power, control, desire, indulgence, secrets, undiscovered parts of ourselves coming to the surface, right? All of those are themes for this day, this Jupiter day. So there's a lot here about personal prisons and limitations, right? The moon being exalted in Taurus, it's in the 12th house of the sun, right? The 12th house speaks to prisons, self-limitation, self-imprisonment, exile, right? And on this day, both the moon in Taurus and Pluto retrograde in Capricorn, they're in a sextile with Neptune in Pisces, right? Which speaks to martyrdom, imprisonment, exile, shame, the things that we do to repress this shame, drink it away, sleep it away, take drugs to elude ourselves away from it. Like, what do we do to numb ourselves, right? From shame, from guilt, from the things that we feel we deserve to suffer for. So illusions are either being lifted or increasingly cemented on this day, right? It all depends on our existing relationship to these energies and to our willingness to surrender our ego, right? AKA our sense of self, AKA who we've always known ourselves to be, right? And choose different. We don't gotta kill the ego. We don't gotta, I don't believe in that like violent, forceful language. Like, our ego is part of ourselves, but are we willing to identify with a different story? Like, if I say, describe yourself in 3 words: anxious, fearful, nervous. Am I willing to say tomorrow, describe yourself in 3 words: I'm confident, I'm bold, and I am clear, at peace, I'm peaceful, right? Are you willing? What is your willingness to shift from the things that you identify yourself with, right? Can that shift tomorrow? Can tomorrow I say, I'm someone who's very confident, I'm someone who's very articulate and well-spoken, right? When the day before you were like, yeah, I'm nervous, I'm just insecure about myself, like, I'm this, I'm not a good speaker. Like, are you willing to shift those things, right? To be someone that you haven't currently experienced yourself being yet. So be open to radical transformation and rapid healing, right? It doesn't have to take work. It doesn't have to take time, right? What is time? Now that Saturn is in Pisces, what is time? All it takes is a willingness to let go, a willing to let go of like, but this is not who like I see myself as being or that I've been, right? This exalted moon in Taurus is receiving Plutonic energy, and it's forcibly and undeniably showing us how much we've tried to control, the lengths that we've gone to, the resources that we spent, the time that we've invested, right? Just to give ourselves the impression and the illusion that oh, it's all under our control. We got it, right? That's where that Neptune and Pisces comes in. Think about how much effort we've invested into something that at the end of the day is an illusion, right? We don't really have control. We don't have absolute dominion over people, places, and things, right? We're realizing that despite all this effort, we've never quite gotten what we have been looking for, right? We've gotten something, all right? We got something. But was it what we were desiring? No, right? If we were controlling everything because we wanted love, let's say, or we wanted security, we wanted to feel valued, we wanted to feel stable, right? We controlled our environment, we controlled people to try to get these things, but we definitely got something, right? We got something, a karmic lesson, a partner or an environment that directly challenged what we were looking for. Like, we wanted to feel stable and we controlled certain things, and now we got a partner that makes us feel very unstable. We wanted stability and we controlled all these outcomes, and now we got a job that makes us feel very financially unstable, right? So we didn't feel any better after those things. After all the controlling that we did, we didn't feel any better. We just doubled down on controlling the next thing, the next person, the next job, right? We tried to resolve inner feelings of lack and low self-worth by trying to control our external environment. And we have the ability on this Thursday, on this Jupiter day, with it being at 29 degrees, a Leo degree, right? There's hope here, right? There's the ability to transcend, to achieve personal freedom, right? We have the ability to accept that about ourselves. You know what? Damn, I have been very controlling. I have been trying to pull the strings. I have been trying to like hold on to all these things, right? We accept it. We act with grace and compassion. Like, damn, I was tripping, you know? Like, I don't want to be that way anymore, right? I want to choose better. I don't want to control. I want to let go. I want to see what the universe has for me. And then we transcend this personal limitation, right? We evolve into this next phase of ourselves. Are we willing to surrender the ego that it takes to get there? Like, are we willing to choose a new story is the question of this day, because there's a lot of addictive energy, a lot of secrets, a lot of like repressed energy, people having like hidden addictions and things like that really taking a strong hold. Like, that's all there. And I think that for those of us that hopefully, you know, have a glimpse of strong-willedness and strong-mindedness, like having the ability to choose differently, choose if this is the path that we want to continue to go on. So, Empress, what does this look like in the tarot for Thursday with this trine going on here?
Yeah, this is definitely a week of feeling your way through. I'll just say that again for this week. And specifically for this day, it's acknowledging that whenever we are feeling more, we're always going to feel those emotions that have challenged us at one specific moment in time, or that are still challenging us and forcing us to come face to face with shadow work that is, you know, never completely done. So definitely felt the heavy tone ending out yesterday's transit, but then today it kind of just all, you know, we're all confronting it. So for the 15th of June, on Thursday, we have the moon in Taurus, trining Pluto retrograde in Capricorn. And in the tarot, this is the High Priestess in the Hierophant and King of Pentacles energy, trining Judgment in the reverse in the Devil and Queen of Pentacles. And this beautiful forecast is an earth trine that is activating our spiritual knowledge enough to realize any of those lessons, self-doubt, and resistance we have had towards the universe at this time. Remember, I said yesterday is like you grading yourself. Today is like that day of realizing, wow, during that mini graduation, I didn't get to walk across the stage. Why? Because I chose not to go to class. Because I chose not to do my homework. Because I chose not to do the extra credit when I could have gotten my grade pushed up. You know? So really having that day to realize any of the lessons, self-doubt, and resistance we have had towards the universe at this time. The King and Queen of Pentacles are both here for today's transit. So you are protected at this time. and have access to the abundant energy of the universe. Right now is our time to have this access to the abundant energy of the universe. All you have to do is become more comfortable in your body and nurturing yourself, caring for yourself, trusting your ideas about business, about creativity. In order to have something different, you have to do something different and think something different and be something different. I love what you said, so about our willingness to shift. Are you willing to shift? Now that you know what that addiction is, are you willing to shift? Now that you know what any obstacles are, what work you need to do, what lessons you're not implementing. We've had Pluto in retrograde in Capricorn before. We're revisiting these things because the universe is putting it in our face. We need to realize the lessons now. We need to realize any self-doubt that we're having now. We need to realize the resistance right now. And it's going to constantly keep coming up. It's going to constantly keep getting put in our face. We're in a spiritual warfare. It's going to constantly keep coming up. Right? By spirit and by the ops. Because we need to work through it so that it can no longer be a challenge or obstacle to us in our elevation, to us in our vibration at this time. And so, what abusive, controlling, oppressive, and addictive energies keep you away from being more comfortable in your body and respecting your body and loving your body and feeding your body good food and speaking positivity and power over your body? Reflect on that today and change the narrative if necessary, or make tweaks. Like Soul said, what is your willingness to shift? I love what you went into, like you went a step further in how you describe yourself. Are you able to accurately describe yourself, or are you in a state of denial about who you really are? Enough that you can't even describe yourself accurately. Bringing in honesty in describing yourself. Right? Acknowledging where we have had those investments into illusions, like Soul mentioned, right? So reflect on today the changes that need to happen to the narrative if necessary. What tweaks need to be made? Either way, dethrone. There's a lot of thrones right here. I have the High Priestess, I have the Hierophant, I have the King of Pentacles, I have the Queen of Pentacles, I have the Devil. Everybody's on a throne. Except for Judgment in reverse, right? But Judgment don't need a throne. Judgment got wings. Okay? So either way, dethrone whatever is keeping those outdated actions and reclaim your position as the Hierophant, the king, the queen of your life. The government does not rule you. You rule yourself. You are a sovereign being. And so taking your rightful position as the owner, right, of your own body, of your soul, of yourself. So I'll stop it there, but very deep day. As we said, this is a week of feeling your way through. So let's get into Friday, Soul.
That was beautiful. That was so beautiful about like self-governance and like speaking positivity over our bodies. Like I think that's going to be a theme for the new moon as well, feeling powerful and like comfortable and familiar. I think familiar is a good word. Feeling familiar in our vessel. So we'll talk about that. But Friday, June 16th, we have the moon in Gemini, sextile Venus in Leo. So I was talking to ISO about this transit. I was like, I literally started off, I was like, this sounds like a fun night out. And then I went back and I like crossed out fun. I was like, this sounds like an eventful night out. I'm not really sure. This energy can kind of go any way, right? On this Venus day, Venus is in bold, expressive, charming Leo under a Gemini moon, bringing conversation, witty flirting, competitiveness, and a little shit talking out, right? This is all coming out. So I would say that under a Gemini sun with Mercury in Gemini, as we also approach a new moon in Gemini, that the energy of this sextile would be very harmonious and more harmonious than chaotic. But like I was left unsure. I was like, I don't know what happens if you leave a Gemini and a Leo in a room unsupervised. I don't know. What could happen, right? Anything could happen. It could also be egos popping off, right? People getting slick with their words, full-on fights and brawls and altercations that seem to effortlessly escalate unprovoked, right? Sextiles just mean that these energies are effortlessly supporting one another, right? But if the agenda is demon time, they're gonna support each other effortlessly to accomplish that, to accomplish chaos, to accomplish mischief, to accomplish ego battles, right? Like whatever the motivation, remember Mars is also in Leo at this time, whatever the motivation, our egoic motivations are, that is what's going to be facilitated between this sextile with Venus and the moon, right? So it's whatever our personal agenda is, but it does sound like an eventful night out. Definitely, grab the popcorn and the camera and be involved at your own risk and discretion and choice. So this could be a very fun date night, right? With flirtation and dancing and a little competitiveness in the air. This is definitely like the type of night to go out dancing or go to like an arcade, right? And get a little competition on. Or a night with friends, right? Gemini is also like friends. Like this is a great night to go out as a group and do those things, to watch a movie with this Gemini and Leo energy, right? Cinema, movies, to go out dancing, to go out to the club, right? It's very like social energy. It could also be a night that if you go out seeking external validation from other people, you may end up in like a chaotic situation or a situation that humiliates you in some way. If you're like really trying to like flex on people, that was something I was getting to. Also, this is very specific, but to be aware of your jewelry today. This is a great day to purchase gold rings, watches, or bracelets, right? It's a Venus day. We got Gemini, which is the arms and the hands, right? So rings, watches, bracelets, right? And Leo brings that gold element. So on a Venus day, it's a great day to buy jewelry. But it's also like with the moon and Gemini being in the 12th house of like the trickster sun. In Gemini, I would also say that bracelets, rings, and watches are more likely to be lost and stolen on this day as well. So just like if it's with Venus and Leo being in the second house of the sun, if it's something of like very sentimental value to you, just be like aware of it and make sure you like have it on you, throughout your adventures if you do go out this night. So this also may be a day of meaningful, open, curious, and intellectual conversation as well, with the moon and Gemini being conjunct Mercury and Gemini in the 12th house, right? You may have conversations about spirituality or your past, right? Things you've learned, or just divulging things that you normally don't talk about, or mental health, or your family, right? And you find resonance and connection with the other person or the people that you're interacting with, and that brings a level of joy and fulfillment. So overall, like a very social day, and it really just depends on where we're at in relation to this energy of how it will manifest. But the jewelry was specific, but just keep that in mind if you're wearing something particularly expensive or of sentimental value as you go out on this day. So Empress, what does this look like in the tarot with this sextile?
So on June 16th, Friday, we have the moon in Gemini, sextile Venus in Leo, and in the tarot, this is the high priestess in the lovers and knight of swords energy, sextile the empress, and strength in the king of wands. And because this is such an emotional week for us all, the messages are feeling a bit shorter for me, because it's something that we all have to feel our way through for the most part as we're going through different experiences, and we'll have different things come up based on the work that we've been doing while still under spiritual warfare at this time. But today's forecast can bring the heat in the kitchen or in the bedroom, based on what perspective we have about our loving relationships and what communication patterns specifically we have been having with one another. So I really love what you were saying today about like, this is a fun night out. And then you're like, wait, this is exciting. Not like I was feeling that as well. Like, okay, the heat can get with either of the twins, like either of the Gemini twins are going to be gassed up with this Leo energy as well, because it's a sextile. So I really love that if you've been working on how you communicate with loved ones, This could really be a day of seeing and feeling the progress of that, having more harmony and more balance between the two of you. If certain relationships have been feeling like a bit of a challenge lately, today could be an opportunity, like a real life opportunity, to be direct about why you think the relationship is not experiencing as much unity as you might both want to feel in that relationship dynamic. So this is a great opportunity to have those types of conversations that will bring breakthrough, and as Sol mentioned, that joy and fulfillment back to communicating with that person or those people. This is a day for all of us to come together, to have sex, to have kisses, to make up, to have necessary conversations, to fertilize the earth, right? Okay, look about germination season, fertilizer. Okay, what is fertilizer? Okay, you asked, not me. Anyway, this is conversations to fertilize the earth with those nurturing, lovely, compassionate energies that the divine feminine and masculine are coming together to share, and realize the bigger picture of how spreading more love on a communal level will bring more love and increase the vibration on a global level, humanitarian level, right? Gemini, Libra, then Aquarius. Not just the community, but the world. Okay? So that's all I have to say on prayer. But let's get into the weekend. So
let's get into the freaking weekend. Okay, I love that. You're like, we should just all come together and have sex. I was like, I love that. The phrasing we gotta do tweaks, like you said. Right, like you were saying earlier, we gotta tweak that. So on Saturday, June 17th, as we get into the weekend, we got Saturn going retrograde in Pisces. So being an active participant. Okay, this is interesting. All right, I had a really particular visual for this day. So keep in mind, Saturn's going retrograde in Pisces, and it's going to be retrograde until November 4th, 2023, which is, we're in the heat of Scorpio season, right? At that point, another water sign. So we're in more or less going to be in trine energy, right? Between where Saturn and the sun are during this time. So, with Saturn retrograde in Pisces, to me, what this feels like from now till November, it's important to be an active participant in what structure looks like in our life, right? And being in resonance with the ebbs and flow of what this can look like as well. Like understanding that can change. Our definition and relationship to structure can change. And we're getting a lot of autonomy here with Saturn and Pisces, right? We have a lot of space to play, to create, to be in like alignment and synchronicity with the universe. It's like, we have our playtime, we have our creative space. Like we get to tell the universe as well, like, what does structure look like? The universe is like, can you take on some personal accountability? Like we need structure, but you get to decide what that looks like, right? How are we taking advantage of that autonomy? It's important for us to chart our waters, to locate ourselves, right? Especially at this moment where it's shifting retrograde, but this will be a lesson for the next few months as well, right? That's what's going to help us determine what structure and support look like, right? We chart our waters, we orient ourselves. Structure can be as simple as a floaty, right? Because you're just relaxing in the pool right now. I'm in the pool. Structure and support to me looks like a floaty, right? Or it can be as strong as a fortress on the coast because you're at war. Like, oh shit, the waters have changed. We're at war, our shores are being attacked. Spirit, I need a fortress right now. This is what support and structure looks like to me. I need a fortress, right? To protect myself and my people, right? So you get to determine the vessel of transformation and, oh, wow, that's interesting. I said transformation, I wrote transportation, but yeah, your vessel of transformation, your vessel of transportation, your vessel of support, right, that you're calling in. It's based on making a decision on our awareness, right? With 7 degrees, again, this Libra degree keeps coming up throughout the week about it's very important for us to make a decision and be decisive with this level of autonomy and freedom to co-create with the universe that Saturn is giving us right now. So if you're in a waterfall with rapids, right, and you ask for a floaty, you're in trouble, right? Like, did you kind of make the best decision? Did you scan your surroundings, right? But also, if you're in the kiddie pool and you ask for a yacht, does that make sense either, right? Like, is that the type of structure and support that you need for your environment? That doesn't really make sense. Where are we at on the point of this process, right? This journey of mastery, right? Of being able to call in anything because we've let everything go. I think that is like Saturn retrograde in Pisces. We can call anything in because we've let everything go. We're not attached to anything. But that comes with situational awareness. Understand, am I in a pool? Am I in the ocean? Am I in the river? Do I need a kayak? Could I use a yacht? Could I use a firm oil rig, right? Like, what do I need based on my situation, my surroundings? So being honest with ourselves is key, as Saturn is especially graceful for these next year and some months, right? As, like I said before, it's emerged from heavy Saturnian signs and it's approaching a Martian sign of Aries. So while Saturn is in Pisces, it's feeling graceful, right? This is a beautiful window of seeing Saturn in compassionate form. They're the elder that was very tough and strict as a parent, but now they're like the most tender, patient, pure grandfather, grandmother, grandparent, right? Even in retrograde, they're going to love you, but you got to like know what you're asking for. You know, what does support, what does your lifeline look like? You know, when you got that phone a friend option, what are you phoning them to do? What are they going to bring to you? What do they need to help you, right? So that's what I'm getting for Saturn retrograde in Pisces. We'll talk about it more as it begins to aspect different planets throughout its journey in retrograde, but you know, we'll get to that as the weeks progress. So what does this look like in the tarot, Empress?
Yeah, so on Saturday, June 17th, we have Saturn going retrograde in Pisces, and in the tarot, this is the world in the reverse in the energy of the moon and Knight of Cups. You said so many amazing things, but the thing that just stuck with me was that you said we can call anything in because we let everything go. I love that for today. That resonated heavy, like in terms of a collective aspect for all of us. You know, after dealing with all of these transits, all of these energies cosmically, like just really knowing that we can call anything in at this point because we've let everything go, and that we have full trust in the universe, full trust in divine, based on us knowing what our gifts and talents are at this time. So I loved that. And this transit is a pivotal point in our life cycles and our ability to be aware of what lessons we have learned about ourselves up until this point. Today is a great day to reflect on and even write down, because we're still in the energy of Gemini. What have you learned about yourself based on lessons that you've been through? And ask yourself whether you have been actually incorporating these lessons in how you live your life and how we live our lives. Some of us in the collective will have to take a harsher look at that, you know, based on the work that you've been doing on yourself so far, or whether you have been ignoring the work. This is a time where traditional secrets will be revealed, right? So I mentioned how this is that grandfather energy. So definitely at this time, taking a look at how those traditional secrets may be revealed from our family lineage, but also our lineage as humanity, right? What traditional secrets will be revealed about us as a humanity, and how divine feminine energy plays a very integral role in society that patriarchal rulers have tried to erase from history. And during this time, we'll be able to see a surge in divine feminine power and presence, as we already have, right? In notable ways in society already. But we're going to see a surge at this time while Saturn is retrograde in Pisces, as well as an influx in the spiritual community when it comes to healing work and awareness. And that's why earlier this week it was kind of like that 2-day audition with Saturn and Pisces, because it's like, okay, you're the ones that have been doing the work. We're shouting, we're bigging you up, we're pointing you out, and we're letting other people know, hey, we know you want to do this work. We know you want to heal. We know you want to remove that addiction and any of those illusions that you've been, investing in. So now here are these people. Look who I've pointed out. Look who's been elevated for you to be able to go to as a reliable resource. You can't say you can't do better, because not only do you have the assistance of you connecting spiritually, but now you have these other people in the community that you've been made aware of that you can also go to for that additional support, for information and knowledge and wisdom based on their own experiences or research or what they've been studying this Gemini season. So any delays to our evolution as a planet will become more evident for solutions and change to come about. This is a time to be graceful with ourselves and others, and to also reveal secrets that will bring us closer together and strengthen our connection to divine, so that energy can be transmuted, so that fears can be eliminated, and so that we can move forward and strengthen our connection to divine. So really great transit. We'll talk about it more as it's aspecting other transits as well while it's in retrograde. But let's go ahead and get into Sunday's transit with the new moon, Soul.
Yeah, so Sunday we have the new moon in Gemini, and so this is a really exciting point. We've kind of shifted. If you've noticed, we had that double new moon in Aries. That's because the North Node is getting ready to shift into Aries, so that's why we've had the full moon in Sagittarius ahead of I think I said that right. That's why we had the full moon in Sagittarius ahead of the new moon in Gemini. So this is kind of like a beautiful opportunity of, like, I swear, it's like a lot of the times we ask for more autonomy, more freedom, and then the portals open, the water channels just open, and we're left to our own devices, and then we're like, yeah, I kind of messed that up. I kind of took on something bigger than, I even had the capacity for. Let's go back to the drawing board. Let's start over. Let's plan out let's map out a new plan, right? And I think that's what this new moon in Gemini is about, right? I think full moon in Sagittarius was a lot about personal freedom and expansiveness and openness and abundance. And we talked about getting clarity. Remember, we talked about being able to be clear in our petitions to Spirit, because Spirit was like, I'm going to give you what you asked for. So you just got to know. You just got to tell me. And then some of us, it's like, all right, Spirit, we need to go back to the drawing board. You gave me what I thought I wanted, and that's not really what I wanted. Or I have some stipulations, right? Some little addendums to add to this, Spirit, some little fine print, right? So this is what this new moon in Gemini is about. So a few things that are going on. The ruler of this new moon is Mercury in Gemini, right? Because we look at the new moon in Gemini. What rules Gemini? Mercury. Where is Mercury? Mercury is also in Gemini. That's great. It's in the 12th house of the sun. So definitely, to me, this points out to information or communication records being leaked or exposed through social media or through the press or through like a podcast or some sort. Definitely information. And especially like communication transcription, something that someone said being on record, right? Or screenshots, right? Something about communication. Also, the sun and moon are sextile Neptune and Pisces as well. So I feel like it's about illusions and information and our relationship with those as concepts, right? When the information is presented, are we willing to see beyond something that may hurt our feelings or bring us tremendous sadness, or that may like reorient our whole world, right? Like, are we able to confront our belief systems based on new information? So Also, we might be feeling very like mentally hyperactive, anxious, or impatient. Like we feel like something, we want it to just get resolved. We want it to be instant. We feel anxious. We're overthinking. So it's definitely important to get some physical activity, like as minimal as just breath work, like sitting and breathing and doing some stretching, or as intense as like going for like a nice run or something like that, something to get your heart pumping. To get that excess energy out, because it's like the solution is mental, the solution is internal of what's going to resolve this impatience that we feel. It's not that something has to like happen as much as it feels like, oh, I'm just waiting on this, or I'm waiting on this person, I'm waiting on this thing to happen. A lot of it is like internally, like our ability to just be present and to not distract ourselves from our emotions. So definitely focus, like Empress said, like on feeling things. If we're getting communication, right, especially spiritual communication, communication through bibliomancy, through dreams, right, having conversations with people in our dreams, just focus on like aligning with that energy rather than like, oh my God, how am I going to get there? How am I going to do this? So does that mean I need to go do this? Does that mean I need to go call this person? What does this dream mean? It's like, ooh, I like this. I like what this dream is showing me is coming. I'm going to just vibe on that frequency and it's going to happen, and spirit's going to get it to unfold in the way that it should be. So how do we, kind of move through these hints that spirit is giving us without getting like overwhelmed and anxious and trying to figure out what we need to do to make it happen? We need to do nothing else but be present. Right, it's happening at 26 degrees, a Taurus degree. It's just telling us we're good. We're good just being in the right place at the right time. So definitely check out our email that is going out later this week about the new moon in Gemini to get more information about certain crystals you can work with, affirmations, journal prompts, and then just a more in-depth report about the energy itself from the astrology and tarot lens as well. So Empress, you can close us out. What does this new moon look like for you in the tarot?
Yeah, so on Sunday, June 18th, we have the new moon happening in Gemini. And in the tarot, this is the Sun and the Lovers and Knight of Swords conjunct the High Priestess in the Lovers and Knight of Swords energy. And today's forecast is replenishing. It feels revitalizing. It feels injecting, specifically when it comes to our relationships. Injecting them with happiness, love, positivity, and confidence, especially after the week that we had, right? So what a way to close out this upcoming week, right? With this new moon in Gemini. Now that we have taken the opportunity to speak our minds, right? This is all given, let me go ahead and put a disclaimer. That energy coming into this new moon in Gemini is conditional. It's based on the condition that you have taken the opportunities throughout the week leading up to the new moon in Gemini to speak your minds, to communicate with other people, to share what's on your heart to others, internally as well as others in the community. We should be able to feel deeper soul connections in our divine masculine and divine feminine interactions and unions. And so this is also a great time to realize the progress and the success that you have experienced in your relationships, and to welcome a new cycle of romance and alignment that is beneficial to all that is involved. This is a time where we should be looking to unite with opposing energies, with energies that you might not be, right? Divine feminine, divine masculine. They are two different polarities, but they can come together to have harmony and union. And so that's what you should be looking for in conversations, in the types of relationships. Harmony. You want to feel union. You want to feel love and exchange that feels good at this time. If it doesn't feel right, your intuition has already exposed to you that this may not be a person that needs to be heavily in your environment, or that this is someone you need to potentially have a conversation with, so that you can stop having old cycles in terms of communication and conversation and break free into a new cycle with this new moon in Gemini, with your divine masculine, divine feminine interactions. So this is a great time, like I said, to realize the progress and the success that you've experienced in relationships and welcoming in a new cycle of romance and alignment that's beneficial to everyone involved. With this conjunction happening at a Taurus degree, slow and steady wins the race. Okay? So do make sure that the forward progress you're seeing is supported by commitments of time and energy in the relationship. Not just, oh, we're doing good right now. Instead, being like, we're doing great right now. What can we both agree on? And have a conversation about implementing on a consistent basis for us to spend time and energy with one another, to acknowledge each other's love language and continue to pour into this divine connection. So with this new moon in Gemini, definitely bringing in forward progress that's supported by commitments of time and energy in relationships, so that you'll keep the progress and growth coming. This is also making me feel like there may be a proposal today. That felt very specific. But with the Lover's energy here, we have the High Priestess, we have the Knight of Swords and the Sun. Somebody may be proposing today. Okay? So it's making me feel like proposals, but also gifts that are shared or given to show appreciation for a loved one. So like, here, I picked these flowers fresh from our garden. You know, I noticed that they were blooming just like your smile in the morning. Aww. So, you know, like just presents or gifts that are shared or given to show appreciation for loved ones today could definitely be happening with this new moon energy. So if you're feeling to get someone, you're in a union with a physical object to show your emotional gratitude, that's a great idea today. The throat chakra is associated with Gemini energy, so be truthful and honest today about bringing clarity to how you feel and what you think. The time to sugarcoat and avoid confrontation is not today. It needs to be brought up. There were more than enough opportunities throughout this week for you to have brought it up, for it to not have been today. But if it has to be today, it has to be today. It's not the day for sugarcoating and avoiding confrontation. We're about to enter into a new cycle with this new moon in Gemini. Don't bring the BS with you. Don't bring the gossip with you. Don't bring those internal suppressed thoughts that with Mercury and Gemini are driving you crazy. Stop your own anxiety. Stop your own stress by relieving yourself of it. If you don't want to speak to the direct person that you have this hashtag, challenge with, then write it down. Get it out of your head somehow. Talk to a trusted person or use pen and paper. That's very powerful. Underrated at times. Journal about it. Okay? So remember, throat chakra is associated with Gemini. Be truthful and honest today. This is going to bring clarity about how to feel and what you think. How you feel, what you think. The time is done. It needs to be brought up to get figured out and transmuted. So check out the new moon report. We'll be sending out an email for your oracle message and more, the Astro Tarot breakdown, and lots more about this moon on the day. So definitely check out that email for more. But this is a really great way to me to end out the week, bringing in a new cycle after we felt our way through this week. It's definitely going to feel different for each of us, as there's an array of different types of challenges that we're facing, emotions, memories, experiences, and then also considering the levels of work that we've all done. So look forward to rewards and compassion from Saturn and Pisces this week. If you have been doing that work, have been present from the moon in Taurus, being able to see resources support the work and efforts that you've been making, and then coming into this new moon in Gemini on kind of like a high, on a love high. Right? What song playing in my head right now? Love Shack. It's the Love Shack. That's an old song, but okay, if you guys remember that song, put some dance emojis in the chat. But I'm gonna end it off there. I think this is a really great week to feel your way through, and I'm really interested to know what you all are thinking, what you all are feeling at this point in time. As so mentioned, Pluto is now retrograde in Capricorn as of today. Mercury is entering Gemini today. So this is a lot of energy that we're experiencing going into this week of feeling. We just want to say that's all the tea that we brewed for this week. Thank you all for joining us for another cosmic forecast, and may this upcoming week empower you to heal, grow, and thrive. Check out our available links to join the email list, especially for this upcoming new moon in Gemini. Order your AstroTea products and book your personal consultation with us. We love you and have a terrific week.